Chapter 24. It was almost 6 and rapidly growing dark when Casey and his mother drove up their dirt driveway. The still falling snow was 2 inches deep on their road. The SUV had no trouble getting through, though it lurched once to the right. Casey's mom, muttering, "Have to fill in that rut," made an instant adjustment. They were never in danger. When they reached the house, she turned the car around. Casey jumped out and yanked up the garage door. A light went on automatically. A neat garage, its walls were hung with the family's skis, ski and fishing poles, snowshoes, a toboggan, and even a plow that could be mounted on the SUV. At the far end was a gun locker with 2 padlocks. Casey's mom backed the SUV into the garage so the front end was pointing toward the road, a winter practice. "I don't mind winter snow," Beth said, getting out of the car as Casey pulled down the door. "Expect it. But spring snow? That's old lady nature making fun of us." She headed for the front door of the house. "Spring snow is stupid," Casey agreed. He stopped to scoop up a snowball and threw it at his mother's back, hitting her squarely. "Thanks," she laughed. Hope your dad doesn't have any trouble. I forget, did he take off his snow tires?" "Don't think so." "Good." Once inside, Casey dropped his backpack in the mudroom. As his mother adjusted the house heat, she said, "I'll get dinner going." "What are we having?" "Your fave, roast chicken, fried potatoes, grilled carrots, and raspberry jam cake with vanilla icing. 13 candles," she added, plus 1 to grow on. Casey made a thumbs-up sign, then headed for his room and his computer game. In moments, the arrow was aimed at the jungle, and he was waiting for animals to appear, ready to shoot them. He remembered the words in the archery book. An arrow can be lethal when shot from a bow. "I'm good," Casey told himself. So good. Chapter 25. Merla fluttered ahead, black wings flapping as she sprang, barely flying, from tree to tree. The light was growing dimmer, the snow still falling, but Neshoba never lost sight of her. He noticed that 7 other ravens were coming along, keeping to either side like escorts. No squawks or calls, just the soft flutter of their wings. The pack wolves, equally hushed, stayed a few steps behind Neshoba. The old wolf halted. From directly ahead, the musty smell of elk had reached him. The other wolves had also caught the scent. They stood by Neshoba's flanks, their breathing rapid with excitement, their whimpering sharp with hunger. Merla landed on a branch directly in front of Neshoba. "Now do you smell them?" she asked, her voice low, full of scorn. "Of course," Neshoba muttered. "I've kept my part of the bargain," said the bird. "Now you need to keep yours. Make sure you leave enough for us." Before Neshoba could reply, the raven flew up and disappeared. With a whisper of wings, the other ravens followed. The wolf wondered if they would stay near to watch the attack. He looked around at his wolves. "Wait here," he said. "I need to see the elk." "You didn't investigate them before, did you?" said Garby. "You're just taking orders from a bird." Neshoba, ignoring the remark, trotted forward a few yards. Between the spot where he now stood and where the elk were was a thicket of oak brush and mountain shrub. There were aspen trees, too, their slender trunks little more than rods of white in the clouded gloom. The air was streaked with bits of silent, sifting snow. The old wolf listened intently. Now and again the elk mewed and squealed or made muted grunts and soft barks. Neshoba had no doubt they were grazing. Knowing that elk had a keen sense of smell, he lifted his nose to get the direction of the wind. There was no movement. That was good. With luck, the elk would not smell them. Lowering his body into a crouch, Neshoba inched forward. The thicket was some 20 feet deep. Ground snow was sparse. Beneath the snow lay a thick brown matting of last fall's dead leaves, allowing Neshoba to step forward without a sound. As he worked his careful way, he stepped on a small branch. It snapped. The old wolf froze, fearful that the elk had heard. When there was no reaction, he continued to creep forward. Nearing the far side of the grove, he moved still slower and then stopped altogether. Only then did Neshoba realize that he had hunted this spot recently, but without success. This was where he had seen that white-haired human. Hidden by trees and bushes, he stole a look. He saw no humans, but he did see an elk cow standing like a sentry to one side of the small clearing. She was heavy and muscular, 4 feet tall at the tail, perhaps 500 pounds in weight. Her reddish-brown fur was shaggy, scruffy and spring molt. Her head and neck were held up and out while warm, white breath puffed from her big nose. Pointed ears were pricked forward as she turned her head this way and that, alert for danger. In the middle of the clearing stood 5 other cows just as large as the sentry. They were pawing at the thin snow with their sharp, hard hooves, working to uncover new grass, then bending down to eat. Neshoba saw 1 calf, then 4 more. As the raven had told him, they were young, still spotted. To Neshoba's eyes, it appeared as if the sentry cow had chosen her place because the clearing was small and surrounded by a circle of aspen. Though there were some gaps among the trees, the area was closed in, offering natural protection. All the same, Neshoba quickly perceived that if he and the wolves could block those gaps, the elk would be trapped, as if in a cage. How easy then to kill a calf or 2. Even better if the wolves moved fast enough and the elk panicked, the pack might bring down a cow. One of the calves moved toward a cow, its mother, Neshoba supposed. The calf looked to weigh 40, maybe 50 pounds. As it moved, it limped. Something was wrong with its rear left leg. That meant that the calf would not be able to move as fast as the others, making it an even easier target. The young elk began to nurse. Neshoba's decision was instantaneous. He would go after the hobbled calf. The thought of eating made his stomach growl. Turning, he stole back to the pack, moving as quickly as he dared. Chapter 26. Casey's mom looked into his room. "Guess your dad has had some road trouble. Dinner will be late, love." "I'm good," said Casey, not even turning her way. Instead, he sat in front of his computer, the bow hunter game bright on the screen. As before, it showed a jungle scene whose lush colors reminded Casey of an animated movie about summer. Thinking of the snow outside, he had to smile. No jungle here. At the bottom of the screen, the arrow shaft and arrowhead pointed toward the jungle. Casey shifted his mouse so that the arrow aimed now this way, then that. He clicked the W button on his keyboard. The jungle began to move as if he, Casey, were walking deeper and deeper into it. He kept his hand hovering over the mouse, waiting for an animal to appear. A wolf sprang into view. Casey clicked his mouse. The arrow shot forward, unspooling its red course like a bloody ribbon. The wolf made a sudden turn, avoiding the arrow, and bounded off. "Bad shot," said the automated voice. "Try again. Be alert. Aim better." Determined to improve, Casey stared at the screen, flexing the fingers of his right hand over the mouse. The jungle rolled toward him. The way the game worked, an animal who escaped being killed always came back. During every half hour of play, all the animals he killed returned. He was waiting for the wolf to come back. In the bow hunter game, there was no death, just kills. Chapter 27. 6 cows, 4 calves, Neshoba whispered to the 4 waiting wolves. In a small clearing surrounded by trees. One of the cows is standing sentry on the left side. There are a few gaps among the trees, bolt holes. There's no wind. "Garby, you go to the left, behind that sentry. Block her. Tonigan, you go to the right. Nikito, you need to get around to the far side and go forward. Pilldown, you'll stay behind me and back me up. If we can do that, we should have them trapped." "And you?" asked Garby. "There's a lame calf," Neshoba continued in a low voice. "I'll get that one. Does everyone understand? I'll make the first move. The rest of you will wait for me, then do what you can. We should do well. Now, get into place. Nikito, you have the farthest to go. I'll hold back until I'm sure you're there. Remember," he said, "only when I break from the tree cover to attack will you attack, not before." "Don't worry," Garby said. "I'll bring down that sentry cow." Neshoba glared at him. "Just let me get to that calf first," he snapped. "If we bring down more, fine. Is that understood?" Garby gave a tiny nod. Wanting to ease the tension, Neshoba said, "Of course. The more we get, the better for all. Are we ready?" There were grunts of agreement. "Food, my friend," said Neshoba. "Food is close."